Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Moore, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreyer, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight 2. This is playing on Netflix, and this is going to be a very interesting discussion, and I invite you to hang out with us and find out why. Let me introduce the crew, starting off with Jeff Moore. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and I'm glad that I don't live in the woods, so I will get some sleep tonight.
Yeah, nobody sleeps in the plains tonight.
Okay.
Yep.
Or the corn, or the beans, or the gravel road. Yeah, that's good.
I'm so lost. Also joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm good. That was a good try, Jeff. Yeah.
Rounding out the crew is the one
You're
and
learning.
Hey, Dre, Dave, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. How are you? Were there even any woods in this movie?
There were some woods.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I
there
can't
were some
remember.
words.
There were some trees.
I know we were in
Totally.
cabins and we were in police stations, but don't remember
Not
being
as-
in woods.
Not as much woods as the first one.
Fair enough.
No,
yeah.
there was more woods in the first one. Yes, this is two less woods. More
Less
police
woods.
stations. All right. Also joining us is
Less
that's what, special guest host, award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. Welcome, sir. You probably wish you weren't.
It should be called "Nobody Should Sleep in That Bed."
Oh god.
Oh.
Ew, I just think about
After what happens in the bed
Ugh.
in this movie,
I
no
just
one
think
should
about
sleep
their
in that
cells
bed.
like all over that bed.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah,
We'll get there.
there's-
We'll get there.
yeah, I have PTSD after watching this movie. Can't get it out of my brain.
Yeah, you can't
I
unsee
still,
that.
yeah. Well, be interesting to see what everybody thinks about.
This is an interesting one. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to give our first impression of the film. That will be spoiler free, and then we're going to get into a discussion about the movie, and we will dive into spoilers. We will discuss what Christopher was bringing up and many other nasty, gnarly things, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we do, we hope you enjoy this review and many others that we have on the site. And if you'd like to help us out, hit the subscribe button, the like button, or share with a friend. It's easy and free to do, and it does wonders. We thank you already in advance for doing so. And, of course, more than that, we'd love to hear your comments down below, what you think of this particular film. So what is this film we are talking about? Is no one sleeps in the woods tonight. 2. Available streaming on Netflix beginning October 27th, 2021. Directed by Bartosz Kowalski. Written by Bartosz as well, and Mirella Zardakiewicz.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Zardakiewicz.
No.
Zardakiewicz.
You should
Zara.
just spell it.
No.
This okay. We got a few more. Cast includes Batis
Oh
Wakalo,
my god.
Waklek. Oh, jeez.
We're so sorry.
I'm never going to make it in Poland.
Just
They will
pronounce it
just-
in monster.
They will just throw me away. Yeah.
Yeah, just speak Ingarn
Julia. Oh, we know. Oh my God.
Wayanawa?
Tell people to
Zarkowitz.
read it.
And the synopsis is
Yeah,
when
that's
something
good.
horrible happens to the survivor of a bloody massacre, an insecure rookie cop must overcome his fears and stop further. I think that's the worst I've ever done, and I'm embarrassed.
Probably.
As you should be.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Dave. Let's get into this. Well, before we do, actually, I want to comment that Christopher and I reviewed the first one that also aired on Netflix. What, a year, maybe 2 ago?
Yeah, it
Was it
wasn't
last
that
year?
too long ago.
Yeah, and we actually enjoyed the first one.
Yeah,
Which
the
had-
first one. Yeah, the first one's very like almost like it plays into the '80s slasher films, like Friday 13th type thing.
Yep.
So-
I'm not really sure what this one plays into. But Jeff, you said you watched the first one in
did.
advance. And
Yeah, I did.
what's a 5-second review of that?
Well, I mean,
Yep, that's it. All right.
yeah. It reminded me a little bit of Madman. I mean, the
What?
the
Yeah.
two guys are fatties,
Yeah,
you know,
I can see
but
that.
it's not quite the same setup. But
Huh.
All right, well, let's dive into
Interesting.
this and
I'll
give
watch it.
our first impressions. And Jeff, sir, you are up first.
oh, okay. Well, well, first, I want to say the stuff I'm looking at says it's nobody sleeps in the woods, not no one. But
Oh,
that's
you're right.
probably-
Did I say no one? No, you're
It's
right.
probably just a matter of translation. So that there's a teenage girl that survives from the first one, and she's actually like the person you want to survive. She's kind of focused on. So it's kind of cool when you start this off and it picks up from where the first one was, with a few changes. I enjoyed it, but it's like, holy crap. I'm still not sure what to rate it, because it's like two different movies. There's a point in the movie where it's almost like whiplash on what's going on. It's like this all out sort of gore fest up to a point, and then it turns into something entirely different. I don't even want to say what. I don't want to describe it, but it's
We will.
Anyway,
We will.
but I enjoyed it. I mean, I just thought it was original. I'll tell you that. I've never seen anything like that, I don't think.
Yeah, I will agree with you. Dave Dreyer, what was your first impression of Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight?
This is I have to kind of review it in two separate things. I think from a story standpoint, I didn't watch the first one, and based on the second one, I probably won't.
No,
But-
wow.
Wow.
But
Man.
I mean, well, and really, there's no point to, because we know the girl survives, right? So I mean, that's kind of the point of the first one. We pick up with her as a survivor. Story wise, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't really care what was going on. I don't know if in its native language, Polish language, the dialogue and stuff makes more sense. But when they did the translation, I mean, I just thought it was like really dumb. It was like reading a Dr. Seuss book. It was like what? Like what? The fuck are they even talking about? But the gore stuff I thought was great. That just balls out crazy, effects. The two fat dudes, and the fact that they just call them fat dudes, I thought was hilarious. When the sheriff's saying, "Well, they found the girl with the fat guys," and and it was just I don't know, it was just so bizarre. But I did watch the entire thing, so that's something. But yeah, story wise, did absolutely nothing for me. From special effects, gonzo, crazy, bloodfest, I did enjoy that part. So it's kind of middle of the road for me, I
Middle
guess.
of the road. You're of two minds. So
I'm of two minds.
You're of two minds. Crystal, what was your first impression of Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight?
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I've been thinking about this movie kind of all day, because I'm like, did I like it? Kind of. I'm serious. Like, I'm like, but I kind of
I know what you
hated
mean.
it too. I just, it's weird and wild. And there were points that it took me a while, because I didn't feel like it was supposed to be a comedy until we got a little further into it. And I'm like, so it is a comedy for sure. It has to be a comedy because of some of the stuff that these creatures, the whole plot is crazy too. Like, just the way it just goes off the rails. And I guess I just wasn't ready or didn't expect it to. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I didn't love it, but maybe I did. If that makes sense. Like, it's the weirdest thing. I just wonder if it's going to be like one of those movies. Like, okay, when I watched Napoleon Dynamite for the first time, I kind of felt like this. I was like, what was this trash? And then I watched it again and I loved it. I was like, okay, I love this movie. So maybe that's what, I don't know. It's super weird. And I'm sorry. I usually am not quite so confused as to why I feel this, but God, it's so awkward at points. and almost sometimes it's kind of awkward in a good way. And I mean, I just cracked up when he's like, well, he's like, why do we kill people? And she says, because it's, and he's like, well, that's not a very complex motivation. And I died. I just thought that was so funny. So there were things I really liked. It's shot well, and it has some interesting and really gross creatures. I mean, honestly, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Okay, I get really grossed out by Boyle's stuff. It's super gross. And then I'm gonna let Christopher talk about the really fun
the scene, the scene.
But yeah, I mean, I think I like it. I think I do.
You'll convince us eventually.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're sure of it.
Yeah.
Christopher, what was your first impression of Nobody Sleeps in the Woods tonight?
Well, in the very beginning, I was like, am I watching the right movie? Because there's like a whole thing that happens at the very beginning that's, you know, I mean, it happens at the beginning. So, and it's so over the top, you know, it can't be. But I was like, I felt like, did I turn to the wrong Netflix movie on? But I was also enjoying it because it just felt like it felt like Hot Fuzz or something, you know.
Yeah.
There's even a Will Hell scream in there. I just laughed out loud.
Oh,
when
I
heard
missed it. Oh.
But I really enjoyed it. I think the last fourth kind of turns to a totally different film. So, and that kind of like, because it goes from sort of like your normal type of like funny slasher type movie, and then it goes into like the Home Alone burglars or something.
Yeah.
It becomes like something
Yeah.
kind of weirder. But I you know, they have the cojones to sort of like do something different. So I'm kind of like, okay, that's a choice, and I'm okay with that choice. I don't know if I enjoy the choice, but wow, you went there, and that's kind of weird. But I mean, I was kind of liking the whole story because they have this character who wants to be like the hero, and he's the biggest pussy
Loser.
hero.
I know.
And he's like the anti-hero. He doesn't want to be the hero, but at the same time, he makes sense. He makes that horror movie sense. Like, we need to stick together, as opposed to everybody wanting to split up and do their own thing. And you have like the female characters are actually much the police woman character is like much more of a ballsy, kick-ass, you know, your normal male.
Take charge. Yeah.
Gender.
Actually, both the women are. Really.
Yeah, well, neither way. I mean, well, and I think that's the cool thing about it. I mean, but I mean, I love the dialogue. I mean, I love, even though that Dave doesn't like the dialogue. Did you watch it with the original language, or did you watch it with the American accent?
Dave.
Mine had like subtitles.
Okay, so you did watch it. Okay, because I know
Yeah.
you're not a big fan of subtitles, but
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I liked that character. I like having a character who he dreams of being that sort of badass, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jean-Claude Van Damme or whatever, where you know, shooting, you know, like he's in Blade or something, and then but in the real life he's just he's nervous, he doesn't know what to say, and then he's like, you know, he's whimpering, and I mean he's so I kind of like that aspect of it, and I was kind of wondering how it's playing out. But then it gets to, and then I also kind of liked, as someone that I enjoyed the first film, so I kind of liked how they sort of turned elements of that first film over with the female character. I kind of like that as well. But yeah, I think when it gets to that weird part of the movie, there's some things I cannot unsee. I want to take like a bristle pad or drill to the brain or something,
Yeah,
just
there
to
you
get that
go.
out of my brain. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I really think it's, I mean, even though it's a foreign film, I think they do a better job of like telling, you know, that they're almost like taking the stuff that we do and they have their own sort of interesting way of dealing with it. And I kind of like that because it feels kind of fresh in that kind of way. And there's that element of humor in it, even with some of the gore type stuff. There's parts of it that are kind of fun, and I love the over the top blood and gore in it, because it's definitely full on out. You know, people's heads getting ripped off and body parts getting ripped off, and I'm not the biggest fan of body horror, but like there's
There's
some
gross
gross
body work.
penetrative things that going on, and yeah. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's kind of it gets a little bit batshit the last fourth, and I can see people going like, what? If you're not thrown off by the dream sequence at the beginning. But overall, I enjoyed it.
The reason I laughed is because I thought you said, even though it's a porn film, when you
Oh,
said,
Oh God!
even though it's a foreign film.
Oh, nice.
Please don't make a more
Misunderstanding
porny
there.
version of this.
Ooh,
than it
oh my
needs.
god,
no.
that would be awful.
I like this movie as well. Would I call it a good movie? I don't even know if I'd call it a good movie. Is it a bad movie? It's not necessarily a bad movie, but if it is a bad movie, it's one of those bad movies that are really good. That doesn't make any sense. This movie doesn't make any sense. I dug it. I had a great time watching it. It did things I wasn't expecting. Characters took turns they weren't expecting. Relationships happened I wasn't expecting. And it actually had a fairly wicked sense of humor that bubbled to the surface quite often. And there's some scenes in here where they do some playing around with what monsters do, and that just had me cackling. There was some, we'll get to it in the spoilers, but there's just some of the things that was just like, this is so zany and stupid. I love it. And then there's, like Christopher said, there's a couple scenes in here that'll go, oh, and we'll talk about those as well. So yeah, I kind of hate myself for liking this.
Well, I don't think you should hate. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a competent film. I think it's just it's so wacky and out there. I could see people turned off by it. But there was moments I laughed. There's moments I like, oh my. I mean, there's
Yep.
a face rip that was like, oh
Oh
God.
my, that was
Oh
that
yeah.
was so
Oh
great.
my. Actually, that whole scene made me super uncomfortable.
Well, and because you go from like 1 minute you have this sort of couple squabbling type moment, and the next minute you have this face ripped off, and it's like slow and methodical, and I was like, oh God, I'm very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This looks horrendous.
But it's got some interesting character-driven story behind it, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
because
yeah. I mean,
it's this
well,
weird
and I think
jealousy
that-
going on.
Well, I think that part of it, I think the problem is the last fourth doesn't feel as earned, because it feels so kind of fast and quick how that kind of relationship happens or whatever. And because of the focus is so much on that, it's almost like becoming a vampire in Lost Boys or something, to where you're like learning how to use your powers and stuff. But then there's a goofiness about it that's so weird. But yeah.
So we're diving into spoilers, and the spoiler is our hero gets turned into a monster, and he's just as bumbling and idiotic as a monster as he is as a deputy. And it is, it's Barney Fife the monster. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hilarious. But the relationship between the girl who's also turned into a monster and him is feels a little like it maybe not earned or maybe even forced, but
I think maybe
At the same
if they
time,
had
it makes
added
sense.
a little bit more in the beginning when she was normal and when he was just a cop, I think if they had a little bit more interaction,
there need to be a connection there, more than just handing
would have helped.
her a cup of water.
yeah.
Right?
although I do like that they throw these two sort of like rednecky type characters.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
And they just call them fatties. Like it's
No,
like
I'm
Is that
talking about the
Oh, you're
guys
talking
in
about the other-
the guys
okay.
who like she called
The
to come out and
hunters.
help them. I can't
The
remember
local.
Oh,
they
right.
call-
right.
Yeah.
They call themselves hashtag something or other. These
So I think-
two guys. Yeah, I kind of liked them to where it's like you think they're going to do something big, and they're just like, whoa,
whoa.
they're in
Well, aren't they the two guys in the first one that they say are out there again in the woods with their German stuff helmets on? And
Oh
do you remember
yeah,
that?
that's
Are
I,
they?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
haven't seen the
Yeah.
first one in such a long time because they do make a reference to that. But there's a scene between the guy and the girl in the, the cabin that made me laugh because they're like throwing back insults at each other. And she calls him like small dick, and then,
Yes.
and then when they
Yeah.
when they make up, she's like, it's not so small.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I
forgot
think
about that.
the girl, and I don't remember which part it was in, but the little older blonde woman that was in the one cabin, she was a sort of a prostitute, but not necessarily sex. There's a
Oh yeah,
scene
yeah,
where
yeah,
she,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where
The one
she's
that
sitting.
he's like, she's got HIV or something. Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the
I think in the
hell?
first one, there's a scene where she's sitting with a guy, and he's just complaining all the time. He just complains. And when he gets done, she goes, "Okay, is that it?" And then he hands her money, and she leaves and rides away on a bike. I think it's the
Yeah.
same woman.
It might
Probably.
be.
Yeah, dang! I
Mhm.
should have rewatched the first one. It's. I feel like. I feel like we watched that maybe 2 years ago, Doc.
No, it
It
feels
feels
that
so
way.
long ago.
Well,
But yeah,
the-
that it's all coming together now.
So one of the things I didn't get was they seem totally different. Like you have the two fatties, as they call them, and they're extremely slow, and they don't seem to converse other than grunts and growls and stuff.
Well,
They're just
that's because
really,
they were-
really slow and massive. But these guys, when they get converted, they're like super fast and strong. And
Well, but those two have been that way since they were little kids.
yeah.
From what I remember. So they really, I can understand why they're not as communicative and not as
Sure.
these other people are have been around for a while, I guess.
Yeah. Dave, what did you think of the special effects, the gooey bodies and the beheadings and the arm?
By far the best part of the movie for me, at least. You could tell right away that it was going to be over the top as soon as we see the two fatties in the jail cell with the boils all over them. I had no idea why they had boils all over them. But did we have meteor shit in here somewhere
Yeah.
too?
There's meteor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the
there's
reason they are the way
That's
they
why
are.
they were like
there's-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's meteor shit, and it's good. I mean, we got decapitations, we got, you name it. I think they're
Cut
very,
in half.
yeah, I think they're very, very well done. Again, in my opinion, the only real reason to watch the movie.
The only
So,
reason.
yeah.
What'd you think of the makeup of our Barney Fife monster?
Yeah, it was reminding me of something, and I can't. While you guys have been talking, I've been trying to remember what it reminds me of. I can't remember. It reminds me of another character
Yeah.
or film, but I can't recall what the
Yeah,
hell.
the
it
way
is.
he kind of hunched over and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of
It
remind me a
would
little bit of orcs from Lord of the Rings for
Hmm.
me.
A little
Yeah, it
bit.
wouldn't be what I was thinking of, but I guess it could be. Yeah, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think it was the gore for me would be the only reason to ever rewatch this again. Yeah, whoever did their special effects did a great job.
They did. So you weren't into the romance of it.
No,
Everybody's saying, "What romance?"
Yeah, there's
no, I didn't. I tuned out on the story kind of quick. It just became quite obvious that, at least for me, there wasn't really a story to be told here. They were just kind of revisiting the first one. I assumed the first one must have done well, so they needed a reason to make a second one.
And it was
So-
made fast, wasn't it only like a year?
Yeah, it was the other one says 2020. So
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't find myself invested in these people's plight in any way, shape, or form.
Well, we got to talk about the one scene, and I'm going to turn this over to Christopher because
why am I the expert?
because
Have you looked at your Instagram account lately?
oh wow, I don't know what to say about
I
that.
know where you live, sir. I'm gonna send Banana Boob Monster Woman to your house
Oh,
Man, I'm boob monster woman. Oh,
Oh God!
and her like
Oh, God.
elf shoe boobs.
yeah. Well, there was
remember that-
full
oh,
frontal.
like-
no! Stop.
There was
shit.
full frontal.
They
on
were
it,
elf
yeah.
shoe boobs.
I know. I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
I was so grossed out by the full frontal monster. There's a monster sex scene for
There
those
is.
people.
The
We're already in
monsters get it
Spoilerville,
on.
and it's one of the most.
Indeed, there is.
And that they shoot it like a normal sex scene, except you
They
have two
did.
people who have horrendous.
Bow
Yeah.
chicka
Like-
bow wow.
Yeah, and she's got like these sort of like elf shoe boobs.
It's so freaking
Like
creepy
shoot.
and weird.
And there's like a part where he puts his hand in like on it. I'm like, oh, no,
I
don't,
know.
I don't
Ew.
want to see. I don't.
They play footsie. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
At the end, their little feet.
It really was.
Oh
I mean,
God, yeah.
the guys' toes were curling too. You know.
Oh, I don't, yeah. I was like,
Ah!
I don't like feet in general, so I just like, I
Yeah,
don't
I
need to
know,
see
me
this.
neither. I'm
This is
like,
this is
no.
only turning on probably 10% of your audience.
That's why it's, I think
Quentin
it's just
Tarantino loves it.
funny. It's
Yeah,
just
that was the
funny.
Quentin Tarantino
Yeah.
moment. He's into monster feet.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was. I was like, I just knew, and like, oh God, they're gonna have a sex scene, and then they had it like, oh God, this is.
Well, they
I mean,
they went all
I was
in.
gonna say they went full bore. I mean, you gotta go that much.
Yeah.
You gotta give them that much.
that's probably accurate, considering how monstrous they both were.
Mhm.
And that, yeah, I was like, oh God, I hope they don't have a baby. But yeah, that's, I mean, again, that's the batshit crazy moment. Is that last fourth is when they're monsters and they have sex and of all the things, it's like I want to kill a person with a knife. It's like you're like the monster. There's a previous scene where she rushes across a doorway and rips a guy in half, and you just want to stick a knife.
Yeah, he doesn't
But
get it.
it's funny
He
because
totally
she's
doesn't
like,
get it.
well,
She's
that's
just
cool too.
sticking her hand
Yeah.
right through him and pulling their heart out. You know.
Shit, well,
That's
she,
cool,
He
too.
wants
that
to
one
use a
guy,
knife.
she rips. Did she rip his tongue? What did she rip
Yes.
Yeah, tongue out. Yeah.
up? Some of his,
Yeah.
almost like his esophagus.
Well,
Everything.
the tongue
Like a
is actually
big-
a lot longer than what
But
we
this
think.
thing was like
Ugh.
half of his size. So I'm thinking rip maybe his part of his esophagus out too. So I mean, yeah, she can like just rip. I mean, that's some power to just go through and pull your heart out or pull your entrails out. I mean,
Yeah.
and I was just like, yeah, this guy does not deserve to be turned into a monster.
He doesn't get it.
No.
He doesn't get it. I don't think he doesn't really want to. And then,
But then it just the whole scene when they're going in the house, I kept thinking Home Alone. I'm like, I'd love to see these monsters go against against that kid in Home Alone.
no, my
Home
God.
Alone in the Woods. That's what they should the next
Home
one they
Alone
should
in the
make.
Woods.
No
Alone in
one,
the
no
Woods.
one's home alone in the woods tonight.
No one.
Well, it's
Yeah.
definitely open for a sequel, right? A third one.
They set it up. They set it up for a third one. I
Well,
really like the idea that we see the monsters attacking from the monsters' point of view. Like, let's hide in the closet. They'll check in the closet, right?
Oh my God, that was actually really funny. How He's
And-
like, because they always do. Here, let's make a little noise. Okay.
and
There
it
you go.
almost happened. It almost happened. The dog getting burnt. But it was just, I don't know. They were bumbling idiots, and it was just
Yeah.
They
so
always
funny.
do.
Yeah. And then, the sad ending. Poor guy. He was like, no.
Well, but I think we learned from the first movie you can't always count people out if they get run over by a car.
No.
That's true.
That might be
Mhm.
true.
So
But she was
We
pretty
don't. We
flattered.
really don't know the power of the meteor shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
no, which is almost like venom. It's this black goo
Yeah,
that comes
she
out.
could-
Oh, I love the way she infected him. That was different.
Oh yeah, that was
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
very.
yeah, the third penis.
yeah,
The threat.
yeah.
very hentai.
Well, I think it was
Yeah.
a snake,
Wow.
but okay, Dave.
Well, now that we've caught everybody's attention, let's go ahead and wrap this up with our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scene. And we all get to pick one. Any scene is on the block here. And Jess, you're up first.
Oh, that's right. I'm surprised again. I'm kind of like Crystal, and it's weird because I really liked the first part up until when they got till he gets converted, and then he acts so goofy. Then it totally, the tone totally changed, almost up to the end, except for when he won't kill the girl policeman. And she takes care of it, and then it kind of crosses over again. She walks out. So I don't know. The question is, the love scene was that whole sequence of their relationship was definitely what is that? What's the word I want?
I don't know.
It's out there. It was, they took a chance. They took a chance, boldly took a chance. And,
Boldly.
you know, it was if it didn't make it, it was close to making it. I was kind of like getting used to it, but I did like the feel of the first part better. I'm probably gonna go. I'm struggling here. I'm gonna go 3.25,
Okay.
and I'm gonna take whether you think of it as a throat dick or a throat snake. I'll take that. Whatever your preference.
I prefer you to never say that phrase ever again, Jeff. I'm very uncomfortable with you saying that phrase.
But she did impregnate him in some way or another.
In a bit, yeah. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
Dave. You're up next. What was your final thoughts, your score and favorite scene?
I think as a horror story, it's rather inconsequential. They didn't really do much here story wise. It was all a setup for the gags, but I think as far as the gags go, the gags were great. Be it comedy gags or gore gags. But again, it didn't work for me in a story type setting. I hope they don't make a third one. Please don't make a third one.
They're gonna be.
You know they're going to. A favorite scene, I got to go with Christopher mentioned it actually, and you described it well. I wasn't sure how to do it, but it's where she, the scene where they're in the doorway and she like rushes across, and we hear her devour or hurt someone, and then he drags himself out, and she completely ripped his bottom half off. And that's really kind of one of the first major gore scenes we get as far as hardcore gore. And it looked fantastic. It looked really great. The reveal was slow and painful, and then when you seen it, you're like, yeah, yeah, that's good.
And then you get to see it again.
And then you get to see it again. But I think overall, you know, story wise, incredibly weak. Effects, gags wise, pretty strong. I'm going to give it a 2.75.
All right, stronger than I thought you were going to do, to be honest. Crystal, you're up next. This should be interesting. What is your final thoughts, your score and favorite scene?
Okay, so I think there's definitely two camps here. Those that prefer the beginning of the movie and those that prefer the latter half of the movie. And I like the latter half of the movie better. I don't know why. When it started to get weird and I started paying more attention to it. So I enjoyed that more. I don't know what this says about me. Don't judge. Okay.
No judgment.
But I'm actually going to give it a 3.75.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice and
Yeah.
high.
Yeah, because as I'm thinking about it even more, see, this is what I do. I'm like, yeah, I really did enjoy that. I like that too. And there's more I think that I enjoyed. I think it was just so weird at first. I just didn't know how to process it. I do think it's one of those ones I'm probably going to try to actually watch again, and I'm probably going to like it more. And I know that sounds odd, but that's just the way my brain works. And so there's two scenes really that I liked, and only because they kind of operate on this same scale. And when I saw the one scene, I was like, oh, it's when it really solidified what this movie was going to be for me. And the way they did it, I think, was pretty cool. Because first the guy is working, and then you hear the bear trap snap.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't
Oh, my
see,
God.
you don't
Oh, my
see
God.
or hear anything, and then they just go off and do something else, and they come right back. And I was like, the moment that it snapped, I went, oh my god, oh my god. But I was like, maybe it didn't. And then you see the guy, and just the way he's like, I was like, this is so weird. Okay, yeah, I thought it was funny. So
Oh, that says a lot. Christopher G. Moore. What is your final thoughts, your score and favorite scene for this particular flick?
You know, compared to a lot of things that we see, you know, made in the U.S. when it comes to sort of slasher films, I give them props for doing something different, you know, and not having your, you know, sort of taking characters and sort of making them different than what you normally see in these type of movies, because there's a lot of incompetence with people and their
Oh, yeah.
decisions in this film that adds that element of hilarity, whether it's the trap thing or even the you know, the female officer wanting people to split up and use this woman as bait or whatever they try to do, you know, or even there's their main guy taking the girl out to the house where everything happened, and I would never eat hot dogs from that
Oh my
Oh
god,
my God.
gross!
Oh,
yes.
no.
Oh my.
I just felt
That's
I kept
another gross.
yeah, and I kept
Ew.
hearing bugs buzzing to places. It's just like I don't think I would eat anything near that police station. But yeah, I kind of like the main character up until a point. I liked his character because he was like, I guess Barney Fife would probably be a good thing. It's a good sort of example, Doc, of just like that's the kind of character where he wants to be this manly thing, and probably even had a bullet in his pocket, but then like when it comes down to being in the midst of it, no, let's go back to the car and wait for the real the
Yes.
SWAT team or whatever to show up. So I kind of like that, where you have a character who wants to win the girl, wants to be that hero that he sees in movies, but in real life, he's not really willing to do that. He has a lot of reservations, and he's a very weak character, and some of the strongest characters are the female characters that seem to have more of their wits about them, whether it's a villain or the hero. And I like that we have one of the main villains is a female this time around. I like that aspect of it. So yeah, I think it's a fun movie. I was really entertained by it, I think, but then that last fourth, I'm like, what is happening here? Somebody's added some secret ingredient to the goulash. It's like that Mountain Dew flavor, that weird that you have to figure out what it is. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I like this or if it's good, but I give them props for add some ingredient that nobody. You like one of those baking shows. You need to put,
Yeah.
black. You need to put black garlic into your dessert. Like,
yum.
how is this going to work? But it's strong.
Or
and
more
that's
like
what I've-
magic mushrooms. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, basically. And I would have been okay if that first dream sequence was the full movie too, because that was like, wow, this is crazy too. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know. It is one of those things where it's like, if it kept going where it was going, I'd be like, oh, this is the greatest movie ever. But it just goes in its own little path. And I applaud them for doing it, but at the same time, I'm not sure if that's right. That's like two different movies, 3 different movies if you count the dream sequence at the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
So
Wow.
I will give it a 3.75.
Oh, yay.
Nice.
Yay.
I'll give it. I mean, I did enjoy it, and I was an okay fan of the first one too. I mean, they're weird, and I really think you can tell that they're influenced by American cinema and a lot of the tropes and stuff, and then they have a little bit of fun with those tropes. But I think some of the gore and stuff is really well done, and doesn't really shy away from it, and creates those moments of like, oh wow, that's kind of funny, and other moments like, oh god, that just happened. As for favorite scene, I'm gonna have to say the face ripping scene,
Oh yeah.
because that I was horrified by that, because we have this whole build up to that where they're bickering like an old couple, like they're the old couple from Three's Company or something, and then she's like, oh, I'll do it, and then it's the slow rip of the
It
face, the
Yeah.
slow methodical rip, and she's screaming, and I'm like, oh god, that is horrible. I don't think I've seen anything to that level, because I think most movies they just rip it off really quick, but she takes her time, and it's like, oh, that's probably so I will say that's there's another scene that kind of horrified me, but I don't want to think
You don't
about
wanna
it or
pick that
talk
one.
about
You
it
don't
ever
pick that
again.
one.
So I will say I'm saving that for you, Doc.
Oh, nice.
No,
Nice.
I'll say the face ripping scene.
I'll keep this short because we're going over, but this movie is just zany fun, and I had a great time with it. I'm with Crystal. I like the latter half. I think it takes this bold turn and does something I was not expecting. And they had fun with it. They explored what it meant, and and it was really interesting. even if it was confusing and kind of like, what the fuck is going on? I kind of dug it, and I found the humor to be rather well placed after that. And then I especially dug the ending, the very ending of it. I thought that was really interesting. What now? Because the only thing keeping him from being a monster has been erased, right? So is he Bub or is he turned into a huge monster? I don't know. We'll find out, right? In part 3, coming to you. So I'm going to give it a 3.75 as well.
Nice.
I was teetering up on a 4, but I can't.
Oh.
I can't do that. 3.75 is the best. And my favorite scene, I mentioned it earlier, it's when they're let's go get some people, and they make all these really weird choices, but from the other point of view, which is what you always see, it's actually quite frightening when you open it up and the monster's in there. Of course the monster's in there, but now we find out why the monster's in there, and it's kind of fucking silly. And I don't know, I love that aspect of it. I don't know why I thought that might have been the funniest scene in the movie for me. There's some other funny scenes.
Yeah.
But that one, and I also liked when the Fat Boys blew up, but hey.
The Fat Boys. Not
knew
the
that.
rappers. Not the rappers.
Not
the
the
first
rapper.
one, the first one is much more of a straight horror kind of slasher film, whereas this one really is a comedy.
Well, I felt like the first
Horror,
one was
I
a little
think.
bit of comedy too. It had a little bit of comedy in it.
Yeah.
So
It
But
was
yeah,
a
I
little
think
bit.
this-
It was a little bit more straightforward than this, but only so much. I really appreciate, catching a foreign take on this genre, and the difference. I mean, the scenery. Everybody was they're so poverty driven. I mean, like the police station didn't even have all the letters,
Yeah, the one of the letters was hanging upside down.
and
Well, even
just
the
like-
guy they broke into his house, all of his lights were at an angle. They were just hanging off. Although am I the only one that was thinking that flashback, the sort of the dream sequence at the beginning, could be maybe that girl comes back and saves him, like in the dream sequence.
maybe
Sure.
she
Anything can happen at this
Yeah.
point in this series.
I don't think he's going to be saving himself. I think it was funny that Doc was like, "Oh, the only thing keeping him from being a monster is gone." I'm like, "No, the thing keeping him from being a monster is that he's a pussy."
Yeah, but that's all in his
Like,
head,
that's-
though, right? So
No, he's a fucking pussy.
Okay,
Like,
it's-
he's
like
really bad.
we're out.
He'd be like the one that you'd go to kill someone, and he'd be like, eh.
exactly.
Well, that girl kept calling him that several
like, oof.
times. Even used the C word
Yeah.
at one point.
Well,
Yeah,
the
I'm
cop,
just like, ugh.
the
Sounds
blonde
like-
cop, she was the one in the dream sequence, right? That he
Yes.
saved.
Yes.
Oh, was she? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But she's not coming with it.
No,
Or is
but-
she? No, she blew up.
No, but I'm
she
just
got her
saying,
face ripped off.
Yeah.
Right?
Again,
Oh, she
we-
did blow up too. Yeah.
Well, but it's
Well,
again,
she didn't.
just because you're run over by a car, if you know from the last film,
Yep,
does
yep,
not
yep.
mean anything.
All the pieces were still there.
Oh, God, I was like, that scene was like, oh, they
That was
just-
pretty
people kept
gross.
driving
I
off.
know.
That was a pretty
parked
gruesome.
on the body. It's like they don't care.
It was like serious roadkill. I was like, how did that happen? All right. Well, there you go. That's our review of Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight 2, playing now on Netflix. Gosh, please let us know what you think of this movie down below. We know you're going to watch it. It's on Netflix.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not sure if any. What?
Some people are gonna like it for
somebody is
sure.
gonna love
It's
it, yeah,
super. Some people are gonna love that sex scene. I mean, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I want to frame it and put it in my house."
Nobody's going to say
Yes,
that.
they will. Yes, they will.
What is
yes,
wrong
they will.
with you?
Yes, they
Have you
will.
been infected by the black goo? Is that what happened?
I'm like,
Dave's down there quietly printing it out right now. So.
no. He's like, "Can I blow this up poster size?"
I'm watching it as we speak.
He's
Gotta-
he's talking to
Skip the
Walgreens
footsies
right
part.
now.
What was the
How
one a
much
few
is
years
it?
ago? Something strange.
Oh,
night? Yeah, an awful lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was a big fan of that. I
fucking
can't say
strange, yeah.
anything.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right. Well, Jeff, Crystal, Dave, thank you for joining me, and Christopher, thank you for guesting on this episode and putting up with this movie.
Yeah, thanks for making me watch that sex scene.
Well,
Oh, I think you liked it
You're-
too.
you're
I
thought
thought
over
it was
different.
very entertaining. Even the saggy boobs.
They weren't saggy. They were like ski lift. They're ski jumps.
Oh no,
what they were. They were-
no, they were like detached or something. It's like they were nothing, and then they were like a thing. Ah! no.
They were like the genie from Aladdin boobs. His little shoes
With boils.
with
oh,
boils.
stop
yeah.
with the boys.
Thanks, Chef. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Let's say goodnight.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Adios.